Good morning. So thankful for a few moments to be able to share with everyone that's tuning in. Today is December the 5th, and just wanted to share a few nuggets and a little perspective about how God has moved me from religion to the kingdom and understanding the difference. And I know from his pursuit of me throughout all the years, and I'm still a young man, definitely. But in everything that he's shown me, everything that he's exposed me to, and how he's opened my eyes to the truth of what he is all about, it was moving from religion to the kingdom and actually receiving something that was going to secure the foundation for my life and allow me to use that influence to help others in the same manner. So, just to kick things off, we have Matthew 23 and 13 reading out of the Holman Christian Standard Bible. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You lock up the kingdom of heaven from people, for you don't go in and you don't allow those entering to go in. So, right off the bat, now obviously this is towards the end of Jesus's earthly ministry, before he was crucified and before he was resurrected. But all throughout his time on earth, you think about all the instances when Pharisees and the scribes would come to him, and their intent was to simply see if there was a hole or a fallacy in his gospel, in his message, in his good news. But yet, time and time again, he showed to be all knowing and all wise of their motives. And so I think about, in that same aspect of, different religious leaders or different people we've been around, and you get the connotations of selfishness, of their desires to uh, produce a following or just to do something that isn't really what God intended on. And so my intention is not to bash anyone. My intention is just to help you hopefully search for the kingdom, seek the kingdom, and look for the kingdom and find it. Because, Jesus said in Matthew chapter 13, where he said, the kingdom of God is like a pearl that a man found in his field. And when he found it, it was the greatest treasure of all, and he sold everything else just to buy this one field to go pursue and treasure and deeply value this pearl. So the kingdom of God, it really is that valuable. It really is that priceless gem that once it comes into our heart, comes into our life, and there's this transformation process that begins, and it's so beautiful. I mean, I think about in my own life and how it has transformed my life tremendously. I mean, been married for 5 years, had two young, wonderful children, 4-year-old son and 2-year-old daughter, and my wife and I, though we have both grew up in, quote unquote, the church and what we understood it to be in the past, but now understanding that the church is God's called out ones, his people that truly live in his kingdom, are true citizens of that. And I mean, just as any nation, it has citizens. There is a citizenship. There's a mentality. There's a culture that goes with that. And religion is a membership. Religion is a social club. And that's not what God intended. His intention was that he could dwell among his people, and there would be such a culture that would create these kingdom communities throughout all of the earth and would fill the earth with the Lord's glory. So, I mean, I'm just so thankful for that and what he's done in our life. And now that he, maturing us and developing us in this transformative process, now he has enabled us to go out and do that for others and share culture with them. Because culture is what makes us distinctive. You think about us in America, right? You go to different parts of the country. You go up north. You go to New York. There's a certain connotation that goes with New Yorkers, whether it's the lingo or whether it's the food or the way they dress or the lifestyle. Or then you go in, to the South, like Texas, right? There's a certain swag, a certain mentality with Texans. And then, you go out west and, California. So that's all within the confines of America. And then you go outside of the country to the islands and you see a difference there, and there's a distinction about them. Or you go to China and it's even, so much different. But then think about this for a moment. In many parts of the country, we have like microclimates or, pockets of really concentrated culture where it's not diluted, where it's not, watered down, but it's the core, the root of what it really is. So I think about Chinatown. Think about, you go in these different areas where it's like you just literally stepped in China. You forgot that you were even still in the United States. And that's what God had in mind for his culture, for the kingdom culture, so that no matter where we go, no matter where we are, the kingdom is known. So then you have to ask the question, well, what is my culture? Well, my culture is love. My culture is unity. My culture is to pursue strangers. I think that was funny. Yesterday as I was reading in Romans chapter 12 and verse 13, where Paul literally says, pursue hospitality. In pursue, that's an aggressive, not aggressive as in hard or overbearing, but aggressive as in intentional, as in ongoing, as is, not just trying once and stopping, but continuing on in that manner. And then, think about hospitality. Well, the first thing you think about the hotel industry, right? We think about serving others and we think about what that really means. But if we see what his really intent was, and I looked up the Greek definition of what hospitality really meant, because the New Testament was written in Greek originally, and it literally means to pursue or love strangers. So, man, it just really puts a different understanding and a different perspective on who I am and who we're called to be. So, if we're not religious, if we don't have social memberships, if we aren't seeking our selfish motives, but if we are kingdom citizens, focusing on pursuing strangers with the good news of the kingdom and not being as the Pharisees and the scribes were. We're in chapter 23 and 13 where he says, woe to you, which basically is like shame on you or shame to you for preventing others from entering the kingdom of heaven. So I don't know where you are. I don't know what you've gone through, but I've talked to my fair share of people, from meeting them in the marketplace or, wherever that may be, when they tell me about their experiences and how, some have condemned them and some have been kind of cast aside because they didn't fit the criteria of what somebody else thought, how they should be. If you come to church, you got to get yourself together. Well, that's insane, because clearly you can't do that as is. If so, there would be no need for any other institution or organization to assist you in this manner. So, I just think about everything that we've been told versus what the truth really is. And once you really find the truth and it really shines a light in these different areas of your life, man, is it awesome. And, initially is, you want to hide and you want to run because you don't want to you don't want anybody to see the skeletons in your closet. But once you truly allow the transformation of the kingdom to begin to happen, then that's when life comes in, and that's when the transformation is. And so, with everything that the Lord has us focused on is empowering other believers to not only understand the kingdom message, to get that citizenship mentality of there's never on off switch, but it's always on, right? I'm always a citizen in America as long as I'm alive, as long as I don't do anything, borderline treason. And so same way it should be with my citizenship in the kingdom of heaven. It's always on. There's no off switch. So what does that mean? That means that same distinctive culture that we talked about, well, that distinction goes with us everywhere. So when I'm in the marketplace and the culture is pursuing strangers, that means that, hey, if I see somebody while I'm grabbing the item in Target, that I say, hey, man, how's it going today? And just that quick. You have a conversation. Yesterday when I was picking up, in the process of pursuing hospitality, a friend in the Raleigh area, he just went through some surgery. So, hey, I said, man, I'm gonna drop by and get you some food, and we'll just chat and see how things are going. So, guys he likes burgers, so picked him up a burger. And while I'm in a certain restaurant grabbing a burger to go, there's a gentleman in there, and we started talking, just casual conversations. Just, man, this weather sure is crazy. Just started a quick conversation with him, and come to find out, he's a retired New York officer now down here working for Duke University in security. We talked about family. We talked about the basics of life, and then we started talking about some governmental things. But it was just a good conversation. We shook hands. Funny enough, we had the same name, and so he went home thinking about, hey, I met another guy that kind of related to me. I didn't necessarily preach to him about the kingdom message, but what was I doing? I was pursuing strangers with the love of the kingdom and that love of the culture in my life, and that made me distinctive last night. There was probably 8 other people waiting on our meals, and everybody was either texting on their phone or just minding their own business. Now, no judgment to them. That's where they are, and that's who they are. That's fine. But hey, that's why I'm there, right? I take the influence of the kingdom with me everywhere I go. So, man, that's what it's all about. That is kingdom influence at its finest, of not looking to move forward in your selfish motives, but literally just pursuing strangers. So I am so thankful for the message of the kingdom, the good news of the kingdom, and that I have been empowered to share it. And I pray that you will do the same as well. I pray that you light a smile on someone's face today. I pray that you encourage someone today. I pray that you just be the influence, that you be that distinctive citizen in the kingdom of heaven, for the good news and for the glory of the Lord. So, guys, be blessed and have a great day.